I'm set. All right, good evening and welcome to the Board of Directors for the Pownal School for August 17th. Okay, first on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I believe I have a request to read the agenda and either add or delete things. Is that what your request was?
We'd just like to add one thing. Could we discuss, I'd like to make a motion that we discuss tonight, taking minutes at the meeting, a different way of doing it, what we're going to call that.
Okay,
Just minutes.
okay. How about we do that under the chair's report?
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
You need a motion for that?
I don't think so, it's just a request. All right, do you want me to read the agenda, or is everybody okay? I know some boards, I've noticed, read the agenda completely and then approve it or not. What is your pleasure?
We're fine.
We're fine.
Okay, very good. All right. So we have no classroom presentation. Is there any public comments? Please, one at a time. Okay, seeing none. We'll go right to the action items. The treasurer's report for June and July are enclosed. Is there any questions on either one of those?
So moved.
Seeing none. Okay, motion been made. We need a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Okay, the next one is a consideration of a petition to modify the VHI bylaws. And that is an action required. And I'm going to turn to Jim for a little bit more of a clarification on
Yeah,
that.
a request that came from some other Vermont school boards to be placed on the agenda there. As you can see in their proposal, our understanding is the VHI board has 2 representatives from Vermont NEA. The proposal would that there would be 1 representative from Vermont NEA with the other seat going to a school board member. And this is, it'll go, my understanding, in their September meeting, so they ask your board to vote on it, and then our representative VHI would sign the petition certifying that all the different boards voted on it. I can tell you that, I believe, Woodford voted, Bennington voted, and I think Shaftesbury tabled it, but I'm not positive.
So let me understand this, if I understand it correctly. They're asking, they never had a board member on before? And they're asking to place a board member on?
I believe they want an additional one. It's in the proposal, so this is, is it not in your packet? What the proposal?
We have it already.
Thank you. So
He's got it.
So if you see how the board, Article 3, Board of Directors, this is number 2, number and tenure. The number of directors for the corporation shall be 5. 3 directors shall either be school board members, superintendents, with the authorized. So that they want to make 1, I believe there's 5 members on there, so they want 1 director to be either a staff member from the Vermont NEA, where right now they have 2. And replacing it with 1 director shall be either staff or directors from the school or the school board association, who isn't represented on there right now.
Okay, what is the board's pleasure?
I think it's a good idea.
Anyone else? Any other opinion on it?
And all you're doing is petitioning the VHI board to consider this, and that you want a representative from the Vermont School Board Association on the VHI board, since it's such a big impact on your budget.
Oh, yeah. All right, seeing no other comment, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. Okay, unanimous. All right.
So once that's recorded in your minutes, then a petition can be signed on your behalf by our VHI representative.
Okay, and this next one is a proposal for teacher leader for literacy.
You have that proposal in your, were you speaking on that?
Donna Lee said that she was going to, but I could kind of
Yeah, she did.
talk a little
Yeah.
bit about it. Prior to this year, I know Title I and Title IIA funds were put in a pot, and the district was able to assign positions and that. This year, my understanding is there has to be a position that is used for professional development
Professional
activities to improve instruction and intervention for student achievement. And literacy, of course, is a goal. We want all of our students by the end of third grade to be proficient in reading. So this isn't an additional person for us. We currently have 4 Title I teachers placed in our building. And one of the teachers would be more, she'd be working some with the students, but really modeling lessons in the classroom for teachers and taking a look at data, and with MTSS and the multi-tiered system of support, really making sure that the kids are moving in and out of these groupings. So it's more of an intervention.
And a resource for your teachers,
Right.
too.
So
That's the professional development piece.
we've been talking ahead of time about, so we're gonna take a current teacher and put them in this position. So what happens to that position in the budget, and it gets filled, not filled, how's that all work?
Now, we still have the same 4 title teachers. The one teacher, again, would be assigned to do some duties within the building of professional development and not see as many groups of students, where the other 3 teachers would have to pick up those students.
Okay, so,
And this comes from your title allotment, not your local budget.
okay, so we have the teachers in place.
Right.
Who's gonna reshuffle her job, so
She's been doing some of that with our teachers in the last couple of years through the Vermont Reads Institute. We've had a reading coach, Mary Beth Monahan from the Vermont Reads, coming to assist this teacher and myself in taking a look at data and, again, the MTSS system that we have in place.
But I understand there's a new grant for this?
Nope, it's the
No,
same grant.
Same grant, but the
grant.
criteria of the grant has shifted, the federal grant, that for how we have to use the funds, more for professional
So there's no new
development.
funds coming in, or are we expending any new funds?
No.
No.
And basically what they're doing is they're just taking one of our teachers, changing her title, and probably giving her a little bit more responsibility.
Different job responsibilities, yeah.
And a real dumb question, how come Todd couldn't just do this with all this paperwork? I'm serious.
Because it's a grant and the state has a lot of authority. The state tells you how they want you to spend the money they're giving you.
And Donna Lee can't, you know what, I don't want
She
to
had,
speak
she
for her,
had
but
to
she's-
alter how the job was described in the grant, so she had to alter the job description for how, to identify how it was used.
From a board of directors standpoint, there's no financial
Yeah.
impact. And then we talked about cost shifting. Is there any cost shifting foreseen in this down the road?
Okay,
No.
I'm aware of.
Okay.
I
Good job.
personally don't see how you can even answer that. I mean, unless you can look into the
I don't have a
future.
crystal ball
Wait,
on it.
No, but I'm
No.
saying, I know where you're coming from, because when you get so-called free money, you know, eventually the free money.
Our
disappears,
title
and that's
allotments
where
could
she goes.
certainly shrink, and then at some point, the board would have to make a decision on what they
Right,
want to
what
do
they
with
wanna
it.
do with it, right. And this has been going on for years, really years.
But these are mandated positions.
Not mandated positions.
Not really, no. If
How
you-
we use the title funds has restrictions on it, yeah.
And if you don't follow the rules, you lose.
We won't get the money, yeah.
Right. And that's how Donna Lee
No
kind of
foreseeable
mentioned.
expiration, specific expiration.
Okay, so we probably should,
I make a motion that we
probably should
get
go
all
in.
this.
Okay, motion been made, can I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made, second, is there any other discussion on it? Right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by raising your hand, it's unanimous. All right, now we'll move down to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion? Any-
So moved.
Thank you. Any second?
Second with discussion.
We discuss it after you give the second. Okay, so, discussion on this consent agenda?
So this is a sixth grade teacher. It's in here.
Yes.
Yes.
And this is more for Jim to pass to the human resources. The position is sixth grade teacher, but I guess officially we're hiring somebody for K to 6. So maybe on these nomination forms, we should be more specific, because, it could be a legal nail to hang your hat on. That I was hired for sixth grade. I know the contract is K, whatever the
Yeah.
contract says.
I mean, the
This
principal
form,
could-
if we just put a K to 6.
They're really hired for any position for what they're certified for, and the principal has the authority to, could reassign because of internal shifting. She could have just as easily ended up being a fourth grade teacher
I
if she
understand all
holds that
As
certification.
far as the nomination form, it's one more document that it says sixth grade, and it gives a teacher an opportunity to say, I was hired for sixth grade. But in the future, if we could possibly put K, when we hire a teacher for, at least for here, it's K to 6. It's a nuance.
It's funny because on some of these nomination forms and some of the other boards, it will say exactly what you're saying, and then I have board members who request the exact opposite, asking, I want to know what grade this person's going to.
What's a footnote?
Yeah. So the nomination form, even though it's here a public document, but it really is an internal document for us where we place people, but the contract is really what takes precedent. It does give that authority to, but duly noted. Yeah.
But this informs the contract. If we get into
Yeah.
natural, if everything's the same, that's all. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please signify by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Okay, oh darn it, we don't see any policies.
And you'll see that in Brittany, my initials are not on the recommendation form. That's because I interviewed her today. So you already had this, so I initialed the official form today.
Now that you mentioned it, I did notice.
No, yeah, normally you would see my initials on it, but it's that time of year that we're moving rapidly as school starts.
Things coming fast. All right, facilities update. Oh, Mr. Davis, this is you. Come on down.
You can see our seal coating's done. And the lines, they gotta come back and just finish up the no parking, weather-wise.
Did a nice job.
Yeah, they did a very nice job.
I pulled in Monday night because there was so much going on. I thought there was a fire. I mean, I pulled in and the firemen were all here and I'm going, oh my God, what's the matter with the building? I didn't hear anything. It must have been they used their property for a drill.
Oh,
You didn't know
they
that?
didn't tell me that either.
Oh, well, let me tell you. it was,
And I guess I didn't drive by that night.
Trucks galore. I was going to Bennington, and when I saw 4 or 5 trucks and the lights going on, I went, oh my God. I drove in, they're looking like, what are you doing here?
And we did have a little section back by the cooler, I think,
I asked about that.
yes, so we did pave back there, that spot, because it was a real tripping hazard as,
Remember we were getting the ice cream?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
so after he did the seal
Oh,
coating, we went
good.
back there and fixed that, so
So that's
that's.
all nice and flat?
That's, yes, yeah,
We
he
did a
actually did a very nice
Yes.
job. The hall is all tiled downstairs, the 2 halls that we decided to have done, they're done, they come out very good. The gym floor is mostly done, they're now laying out the court, the basketball court. The tiling is all done, they're laying out the basketball court, and that's gonna, hopefully will be in by the end of the week, so we can get it waxed next week. That's the only real waxing we have left. The windows, they actually came in today. They took the windows out 2 weeks ago because we ran into an issue. We had to have them abated because of the glazing compound in them. So they got them out, because that's when they were free to get them out. The company had to cat them out. And
They were late coming in too, weren't they?
they were a few days late coming in, and they thought they would be here a little bit sooner. However, they came right down today. They've done prep work. They're coming down tomorrow. They should have 1 room done. Friday have the other room done, and then Monday finish the nurse's room. So we should should be all set there. They had the whole crew, they got Judy's window in today.
Okay.
They got a little bit to button up on that, but it's basically in. We had to have a couple updates on the furnace. When they inspected that, there was a plate missing with all the information. And actually Sam Kelson did some background work and was able to get one through his company and got that on. And then the low cutoff on one of the boilers, never apparently was one. And it was quite a project it was gonna be to put that in, but Sam found a switch that'll do the same thing and the inspector was fine with it, so that's all done. The slide came just a couple days ago, so I'm hoping to get that up between now and the middle of next week, so it's all set, but that came a little bit late too. And we got a couple new fountains in, drinking fountains.
Yeah, the water fountains were through a MAC grant. We put in suggestions to Donna Leap last year. It's more of like healthy lifestyles. So they call them bubblers here, I think, water fountains or bubblers. One right over here and then one downstairs.
Really?
Yeah,
So we have one up and one down?
one up and one down.
Yeah, they're very nice, they're the cooler.
They are
Got the
water
bottle
filled.
filler on them.
That's why it met the grant requirement, because you can refill a water bottle with it, so it
Oh.
promotes drinking water as opposed to
They're really
other.
nice and nice.
Oh,
So they're all installed and working, and so pretty much all the projects that we,
How about
Decided
the
to do.
strobe light, the light out?
the wires are all run, everything, he had to run all the wires through the ceiling, and he's supposed to be here, he's supposed to have it buttoned up before, you just gotta put the lights up now and change the little boxes, so the hard part is all done, he said.
What about the phone?
The phones are pretty much done at this point, I think there's just
A few other things that
couple
they have to
little-
complete, and they're gonna be here for a training, so we're all trained on
how to
the
use,
use of,
do everything with them.
the voicemails and all that, so.
But they're pretty much all installed for the most part. We're working on
Last
them,
thing
so.
is training.
The entrance, the security entrance,
The box,
or the pad, yeah.
he's gonna change that when he does, after he puts the lights up, then he's gonna come and update those. So I think between probably tomorrow and the middle of next week, tomorrow
And you'll have to
Friday.
have another session.
Give you a code.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty simple, and it'll just be, one box instead of the two that you gotta do.
Oh, no, I think
Lower, so
it's excellent.
gonna be
I'm
much-
really
much
looking
better.
forward to it.
Um,
So outside of that, you didn't do anything this summer?
No, we actually, I went away 0 time. But, no, it's been pretty busy because we're
Yeah,
trying
you did a
to,
lot.
Looks
get
good.
rooms
And
done,
I
trying
was
to
gonna
get
mention this in my
halls
report, you guys have done an
waxed.
excellent job.
Yeah,
I got
they're working
quite
on
a few
ceilings, so you gotta be careful when, they're taking tiles out, so you can't have wet wax here, wet wax there. And actually, like, even the phone guys were pretty good at, where do you guys gotta be today, you know what I mean? Because we need to wax, but we'll hold off.
Good,
So they would do
good.
certain areas and we would wax certain areas and then they could walk on a couple days later.
Well, just think of it this way. Next summer should not be as crazy as this.
Exactly. I said I'll be glad when school starts, it'll slow down.
Kevin, just mention to him the letter you got for the roof, extending it out
On
5 years.
Yes, 4 to 5 years, he sent us an email, I forwarded that to you, did you
Yep.
get it
Mhm.
yet? And they did do the edging, I said before that they said the roof would be fine for 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe, and at that point, just have it reevaluated, it still may be fine even longer, but the edging was starting to peel in a couple places, so they did come in and
Oh,
they got
okay.
that all done, so.
So you're saying 4 to 5 more years, it's still
Yeah,
good?
and have it reevaluated at that point, they said it might not even need it at that point.
That's the old section?
Yep,
Yeah, because I know this is
yep,
new.
that's the old,
Oh, wow, all right.
that's the old section.
That's good news.
A couple questions on the gym. What was the extra cost for the asbestos removal?
Did we have to
Just
do
under
it?
10,000. We actually, we got lucky on it in one sense, because both the tile and the glue had the asbestos. However, it was 10,000 each, it was 10 to have the tile, and it would have been 10 to have the glue. They can seal it with a Ardex, and that was $1,200. So it was, 80.
The other question was, how are you gonna line up the basketball court?
He's doing it right now.
How?
What they do is, it's a kit, it's tile, they lay it out, and then he just cuts and lays that in, pulls the tile out. that he's
Like an
laying down.
inlay.
So he's gonna
Lays that-
cut
lays that in.
the inlay.
Yeah, but it's like a 50-50 call on which way they do it, but this year
That's high class.
seemed to be easier for them because you can lay the whole thing out, otherwise you can't, like, they glue half the floor, and then when that glue dried, they laid half the floor, where if they did it the other way, he says there's nothing really to square up to, so this way here, they laid quite a bit of it out today. So they're planning, I think, cutting some of it in tomorrow.
So they cut out the new tile.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I like that.
So it, and the floor, it appears to be where they fixed the low spots, and it appears right now to be very level. They did a pretty good job for.
Anything's gonna be better than what was there.
Yeah, yeah. But he really seemed to have done a good job on the low areas, because
Those are
once
the
we
kind
get
of
some
people who
wax
wanna
on it, you'll
remember
really
his
see.
name.
What's that?
I said for the future, people are
Yes.
gonna remember his name.
Yes, yeah. He's been doing it for, I think he's at 30-some years. His son's been working with him for 8 or 10 years.
That's great. On behalf of the board, I want to say thank you to what you have done to help get
Thank
all
you
these.
very much, you're welcome.
Good
Thank
crew.
you.
They really get along together.
They do,
There's
we've had a great crew
good
during the
rapport.
summer. You know, we had a couple different ones. We lost Brent because Brent worked for the town this summer, but everybody at News really worked hard.
Good.
And it's been hot, and it's not like we can really
No.
slack much because
We
there's so
didn't
much to do,
notice.
but, no, it's
Yeah.
those days that were
This was
99 degrees.
This was the kind of summer you wish you had an outdoor job,
Yes.
or indoors in office.
Yeah,
whatever
the
you
nice
do.
air-conditioned building. So, no, they've been great. They worked really hard and done a great job.
Great. Well, it
We all get
shows.
along, we all get along good.
That's good, that's
Have fun
important.
during the day.
Yeah. Well, they have a good
Laugh
leader,
little
so
bit.
that's
It's a
why.
long day.
They're happy with their leader, that's why.
Well, that's good. I hope that's why.
Does anyone else, anybody on the board have a question for him?
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
You guys.
Yes.
Looks really good.
Thanks.
We'll see you later.
Okay, now we're down to the superintendent's.
Just a few things. What's been occupying my summer, it seems to be teacher interviews. There's one on your consent agenda today, but that's probably one of 35 that system-wide that probably have done this summer. And but first, let me introduce for her first time here in Pownal as our Director of Finance and Operations, Renee Gordon.
Oh, yes, and I was going to do that under my
Yeah.
report, that's okay.
Well, you can still introduce her a second time, so.
You're fighting it.
So, the new teacher workshop is tomorrow. It's the second one that the HR department has put on. They did one in July that had maybe 9 teachers at that one, and the number for tomorrow is staggering. That'll be at the middle school library tomorrow morning. And those work well, and also makes like a cohort group of new staff members throughout the SU. So because they'll continue throughout the year meeting with staff as a group, and it helps with that transition to a new job, a new position, and we hope that it ensures success. The other thing we have been doing, we did a little professional development for our administrators this summer. All our principals attended a one-day workshop up in Killington with the Vermont Principals Association. Kim Marshall was the featured speaker. Kim is well-known in the education world. I believe our principals received his memo through the Vermont Principals Association. I had received it for many years. He's nationally and internationally known. One of his weekly Marshall memo is he and his organization read and scan up to 65 different educational magazines and then give us a synopsis in this memo of highlights for it. So it's, particularly for administrators that struggle to find time to do professional reading, one that condenses and highlights is helpful. So he was the full-day speaker for all our all central office and all principals. And the following day we did local professional development. The morning was spent with the SVSU attorneys who did a workshop for our administrators focusing on evaluation, documentation, and improvement plans, and how, with samples for our administrators, and my intent is to continue that type of professional development, so that, one thing I like, this is how I explained it to our attorneys for when we were planning for what they were going to discuss, that administrators in the education world are pretty much that, educators. And our professional training has a limited amount of management training, and that's what, where we're really more educational leaders. So it's important that we get that, and as part of our legal contract with Stitzel and Page, that they're obligated to give us 2 full days a year of professional training. So we used 1, and I hope to use another with further training for them. That's it. I don't know, Renee, was there anything that you wanted to say before I conclude? No, just...
For those of you that don't know me, I've been working at the central office since 2014 in human resources, where a lot of the work that I did was revolving around salary and benefits, so therefore making up the majority of budgets. So I'm very familiar with that. During that time and prior to that, I served as the Bennington School District Treasurer since 2007. And even during that time and prior to that, my previous life, I was an operations/office manager for an architectural firm. So doing a lot of project management, construction management, budgets, all that fun stuff, planning out on the job site from start to finish. So that's my background, and we have a lot of challenges that we're...
You're going to have a very brief honeymoon in the job, because
there hasn't been a
particularly the
honeymoon.
demands, those of you who were at the Act 46 Study Committee meeting last night, the agenda has been accelerated, where Renee thought she had a little bit more breathing room to produce some financial models. At least it was 4 weeks off, if not even 6 weeks off. Now it's 2 weeks
2
off.
weeks off.
Yeah. And I certainly understand why. I mean, we had an educational presentation at the Act 46 Study Committee meeting last night. But I think what has become apparent is a desire to alter the work plan that our consultant Steve Sanborn had set up, because in 2 weeks from now it was supposed to be special education and 504 and then finance and then facilities. I think what everyone really wants to see is what the financial impact of a potential merger would be, and what the articles of merger will look like. So in 2 weeks, Steve is hoped to come back with a template that at least gives a general idea of what the merger documents would look like, and Renee has got to come back with some financial models, and
I think that makes more sense. From just where I was sitting, it looked like we were putting the cart before the horse.
yeah.
And I think you need to get to the meat of it, and that's going to help you decide whether you want to go forward. And if you do want to go forward, then it would be great to hear from all
Right.
these other departments as to this is what we want to do, yada, yada, yada. But that was what I
And
was
North
hearing.
Bennington, that was the other thing that was loud and clear last night. We need to see where they fit, if they fit, what do they want to do, so that they can preserve what's dear to them, which is school choice, which is different than everyone else. So it makes it almost impossible for us to do a conventional merger and have them in the mix. So we hope to have some legal guidance at the meeting in 2 weeks also.
So in addition to that, I mean, we have collective bargaining agreements that are expiring this year. Those negotiations have started, and we have changes in health insurance coming down the pike, and our account structure is going to be changing in a couple of years. So
Glad you
a lot of
mentioned
challenges.
that. I went back and looked at the minutes,
Mhm.
and we did nominate Todd as
As
on
your-
the teacher negotiation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. It
I'll
was
make sure
Todd.
that it reflects
It
that.
wasn't me.
Yeah, I won't
I'm
say
on
who
the
told me
ESP.
it was you, but
Yeah.
yeah. I thought it was unusual that your name would be on there twice.
Yes.
And, when the chair of negotiations, Tim Holbrook, really wants to get moving forward. He wants a joint meeting, particularly on healthcare, with both the negotiators for the support personnel and for the teachers.
Which
But
makes sense.
But as you know, one other thing that we've been working on this summer at the SU is we put out an RFP for legal services. So that is ongoing, and once we know who will get awarded that, which hopefully will happen at next week's SU meeting, then we'll go ahead and schedule that with a presentation on the rapidly changing healthcare options and the impact of
And
that.
I agree, they should be together.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be just repeating yourself.
Right. So it'll be an unusual event. Both contracts will expire at the same time, but that we made that decision when we offered the support staff a one-year
Yeah.
contract because
We knew it.
Yeah.
We did it to ourselves. But we had to do it. I mean, it was the only.
for the issue of
way
health
to set-
insurance, you had to.
Exactly.
Yeah. You couldn't have one lead.
I like going to meetings. Thank you.
All right.
So
And
now.
I'll make sure your name gets on that.
Yeah. Yeah, take Cindy out for that. All right, now we're up to our principal.
So I just want to report that, first of all, we had a great summer session, Kinder Camp, Bookmobile. I want to thank Becky Giganto for taking the leadership piece for that with
That's right.
with Skylar moving on to Sunderland. So very successful. Of course, getting ready for a new school year, and just a little bit earlier, thanked Kevin and the maintenance crew. They really do get along well together. They have a good rapport, and Kevin's a really good role model. So looking into next week, we'll have some professional development with teachers, and then of course the students start on the 29th. We have our first day performance at 9:30. It's Bubble Mania, the science of bubbles and surface tension and reflection and refraction. So we'll have a good fun time with
That's on
bubbles.
the first day, the
First day
29th,
at
yeah.
9:30. And then looking a little bit further down, we'll have our open house and barbecue on September 6th, starting at 5:30 in the classrooms and then moving on to the barbecue after that. So, been
What
planning
time
all
is it on
summer.
the 6th, is that?
5:30. Starts in the classrooms and then 6.
Okay.
Is John cooking this year again?
John, I'm trying to contact him, so.
It comes into
Yep.
the store tomorrow, I'll tell him to get over there.
Okay, sounds good. Kathy Brooks always has done that in the past, and with her retirement, that's going to be on me now, so I'd love to talk to John about
He always comes. to
grilling.
cook.
Yep.
He said that he was still gonna do it for the
Nice.
school. Because I tried to talk him into the Act 46 and he wouldn't do it.
Well, I offered him to come back as a board member or to cook as the grill, and he said, I'll take the grill.
Take the grill. So looking forward to that and planning for a great school year. Next month, the September meeting, myself along with Laura Boudreau, the curriculum director, and Melissa Senecal, we're going to be presenting AYP information and MTSS and some data. So
Mhm.
looking forward to sharing that with the board.
Great. Great. Excellent.
I think that's it.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, seeing how that this board has already been introduced, I would like to introduce my board members to you. This is Angie Rowling.
Hi.
Our newest member is Todd Steinhoff and Jim O'Connor, and I'm Cindy.
Nice to
And we all welcome you.
Thank you.
So now we know who to go to
With all your
with
questions.
all our questions. Well, we usually bug Jim, but we'll make sure you get the questions. Okay. One of the things I wanted to tell the board, I got an email from Skylar, and he had said that in the future, depending on what we want to do with our buses, that he wants us to keep in mind that maybe Sunderland might be interested in purchasing one of our buses. And I told him that we weren't selling them right now, and he understood that, but he just wanted us, in the future, to remember Sunderland, and I told him we would. Our next board meeting will be in September on the 21st at 5:30. And I had a request from one of our board members to possibly look at, for the last 3 or 4 years, we have had problem finding a recorder. Tammy has done a wonderful job. She has no problem doing it, but I have a problem thinking it's hard for her to be, she is a good board member too. She can handle both. But the suggestion was that maybe we look at a different way to take our minutes. And I guess we can really look at that.
Over the last couple of years, I've seen other boards where the recorder couldn't show up, and he would just watch the tape and do the minutes on the tape. And the question for the superintendent is that acceptable? That we, so my idea is, and I'm thinking this would be, is handicap a politically correct word? Can I say handicap? Okay, it would be a perfect job for somebody with limited mobility to do from home, you know, be able to.
So
A lot more people might be interested in doing the minutes if they could just watch the CAT TV tape and do the minutes that way. And possibly we could, all the boards can save a little bit of money. And
Well,
There are no regulations about how you do it, and sometimes in an emergency situation with some other boards, I know that Richard watches the tape.
Yeah, that's
The
been done
problem with that is you still gotta meet the timeline on when those minutes
Minutes,
are
right,
available.
you have 5
And I don't
days.
know how long it is after this that the tape would be available for them to watch it, right? Because this is not a live broadcast, right?
It's usually up the next day.
Yeah.
I would personally say that I can't guarantee that it always would
Right.
be.
no, it's not always.
Yeah, so it would
But
be.
it's 5 days for
it
a
would-
draft.
5 days for a draft of
Draft.
the minutes have to be posted.
So
That
I'm
might
not
be
sure,
tight.
I have no problem looking into this, you know, because you did request it, but I'm not sure how it would work, but we can look into it and find out.
So we have to post
then-
within 5 days, a draft of the minutes has to be made to the
do you
public.
think that this would be helpful? For all the different meetings, I know Richard runs around a lot.
Yeah.
I will check with him. My problem is if you don't use someone like Richard, Pownal is limited on Comcast or cell towers, so not everybody in this town has cable. So for you to say they can watch it on, you know, YouTube or something, it's not 100% of the population.
It would have to be computer.
Yeah.
Well, again.
I think it's a good backup, but I don't know if that should be your main
Right,
way of
the
doing
main way
minutes.
of doing it, right. So, you know, we always, every month, we try to say, if there's anyone out there that would like to be a reporter for this wonderful board, you know, feel free to contact me, and we can sit down with Tammy. She has a wonderful layout. I mean, she's got a program that you just, bada bing, bada boom. I mean, it's perfect. She's been doing it for so long. And that we, you know, we're a good group to work with. So, thank you. But we will look into that, Jim, just because you requested it. All right, am I forgetting anything? Is there any
Yeah.
else, anything else?
Did you receive an application to be on your Act 46 study committee?
Did we see it?
Did you receive one from Lori Linder?
No. But we've been trying to ask people to be
Yeah.
on it, and nobody wants to come out.
She sent in an application, yeah.
Oh, she did it?
Yes. Right, to Lori Linder?
I haven't talked to her about it, but I suspect she,
Yeah. I don't have it in my packet, but I know she
There's
sent.
there's also one more person that
Oh.
I'm supposed to find out tonight if he's.
But they go to you, right?
Yeah, they came to us, yeah.
Then
they
you-
just-
You pick them? How's that?
No, then the board
The board
votes on,
chooses?
it's your vote to who you want to
Well, they
appoint.
applied to you.
How do
Right,
they-
so right now, the only application we have is
Is
Laura's, yeah.
There may be one more.
Okay, but this maybe, I mean,
How
how,
long
my,
will they wait?
yeah, I mean,
Well,
if we got a bird in
I
the
mean, it goes in
nest.
there. Well, whatever, just, the procedure is, if they apply, they apply, and then.
Mhm.
Okay,
So
but
we
you're
have one
missing the point.
applicant from Pownal right now.
Okay,
Lori.
here's my dilemma. In 2 more weeks, we're gonna have another meeting.
And you still won't have a
And we
representative.
still won't have representation, other than Jim. I'm not missing Jim. So, at this point, what's the board's pleasure?
I think we have an applicant, we need to accept it.
Accept it, exactly.
Lower who?
Lori
Lori
Linger.
Lingner. She works at central office. She's a Pownal resident. Okay, so are we, is that, make a motion?
Make a motion.
Okay,
accept the,
Motion been made to accept Lori Linden. I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made and second. All those in favor?
Thank you.
All right, so be it.
I'll have her, let her know that she can come to the next meeting.
Yeah, 'cause I really felt bad last night when there was nobody from Pownal but Jim. I mean, I was there, but I didn't count. We need representation.
Well, when you meet with when we do the breakdown, which will become a feature every meeting by the anyone in the audience who's from those communities can meet with that group, which is a good feature, I think.
Yes.
And you were able to meet with them then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just would have been better if we had a representative.
Mhm.
I didn't count. All right. Is there any other business to come before the board? Okay, we have our budget status report, which is enclosed. We will not get a student enrollment until September, which is natural. And I have a question. Who's at River Hydro LLC? Mr.
I think Jim could probably answer
Yes.
that best. He was
Yes.
pursuing it for us.
I was a little disappointed. Is there somebody in central office that has someone else in mind?
No, not at all. It
Well,
was,
then
but
why
they-
did we deny a bird in the hand? 5 cents was better than nothing.
Unfortunately, we did not deny it. Unfortunately, when
Okay.
it got into the lawyers' hands, they were requesting certain items to protect each district and to protect the rate that you would be receiving. And unfortunately, the dialogue did not continue, and he went out and researched another business, which took the capacity of the electricity.
And we have one in mind?
No.
No.
At this time, we are starting from
So
ground
this is what
zero.
I'm saying. We had a positive with the hydro, and now all of a sudden we lose out because there might be a maybe? You know how that works. Vermont stops in Rutland, so Pownal has to work out for themselves, okay? And I'm not throwing you under the bus, so to speak, but I don't understand why we denied the hydro who was offering us a little bit of something.
I think-
But couldn't meet the guarantee.
Right, I think it's more of the legal languages that could not be accepted on both parties.
So the hydro company walked away. Because
Correct.
they couldn't.
Wouldn't meet the
The
stipulations that our
Stipulation
attorney
of the lawyers.
said.
Yeah, so it was the lawyer. Somebody told the lawyer. I'm sorry, this is political, and I'm not
Well, if you
very...
read their letter-
No, I don't think so. I think it was that, and it was really our finance office with insisting on what percentage needed to be matched to make, that we would sign on to.
Mhm. And if you ask for 5% and you tell the lawyers that you want 5%, then you have to try to make sure it's put into the contract at a 5% return. If that's not put into the contract, you have no protection that that's going to happen.
That's what he offered us.
But not in the contract.
So then, can I just ask a question? So why didn't he like give a number or something and then come back to the board and ask us if we would accept that number or not? Or they wouldn't give any kind of number?
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't give you any kind of number?
They,
The
a
lawyer?
lower number that they could guarantee verbally, but not anything that could be put into the contract. And then there was also timings of when things could happen and everything to make sure that the school isn't basically okaying to this and then find out it could be longer than the 1 year to come on board, that it could be 2 years on the board. So the lawyers who have the knowledge of net metering, I mean, you got to remember that net metering is a very confusing situation, that you want to have someone that's legally informed with all the situations. So you put it in the hands of the lawyers to make sure that they discuss back and forth, and unfortunately, they came back and said that they did not want to accept what was going to be put into the contract, and unfortunately, we've already gone and picked up someone else.
The letter says that the SVSU council was unwilling to proceed with Hoosick River Hydro's proposal.
I think our council might write a different version of that letter, but yeah.
The negotiations broke
It's a
down.
negotiations broke down.
Yeah, that's all.
So now, at this point, we're just gonna sit back and wait, and maybe in 5 or 10 years, that maybe we might get some kind of agreement to help us save our electricity?
Could be 0 to 5, 10, 15, whatever, but it based now on, we're still, I mean, a lot of things are projected on what the Green Mountain Power is doing and what the legislature is doing,
Right,
which is a
right.
moving target now.
So basically, it's up to Mr. Scully He's the one that didn't want to come up with a certain number for the hydro.
I don't want to speak for Mr. Scully. I think, you know, he made a sincere offer to it, but I think what the guarantee was not going to be in the contract. There was going to be some fluctuation of what the percentage really was.
Well, I can
Yeah.
see that this is, I know he's trying to get it up and running, and this
Yeah.
is new, so maybe in this so
We certainly wanted to
future,
support a local project.
we may, you know, approach him again and just say, you know, let's sit down and talk
Mhm.
turkey. And my theory is, I would much rather have a little bit towards our electricity than none at all.
Mhm, absolutely.
This is my theory.
But that
So-
little bit would tie your meter up too. You wouldn't be able to meter into another project that might offer more. That was,
Or might not even show
not
up.
at all, yeah.
Because we have, let's face it, down here in the southern part, we're forgotten many, many times. So I would be very, very surprised. Very surprised. Okay. All right. With that being said, we will sign the contract. And if there's no other business to come before the board, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion made, seconded. Thank you, Jim, for your help.